What's up, guys? I just figured I would show you my newest project. Here I have a 1991 Suzuki gn125. I picked it up for 250 bucks and I have clean ownership papers for it. I've decided to turn it into a cafe racer. Now this thing actually ran pretty well when I first got it, so I kind of decided to do nothing to the engine. I do have to replace things though, like the carb boot's all gummed up, it's dry rotted. Somebody tried to fix it with silicone. Did not work out quite so well. I've ordered one of those. And the exhaust that was on it, this is the original he had in a box of other miscellaneous parts he gave me when I got the bike. He just kind of had a looked to be like a lawnmower muffler with some kind of exhaust pipe. It was kind of something like that, more or less, on the bike. It had a nice look, kind of came out right behind the foot peg, but that's not what I wanted at all. So like I said, I'm attempting to turn it into a cafe racer. The seat I am still working on it. It has proved to be a little more difficult than I thought. I tried one way of creating this rear cowl, I guess. I tried to mold the original one that was just some cut up plastics off another motorcycle. It actually worked quite well, but I wanted it to be fiberglass. But so this is what I ended up with. It's just rough cut right now. It's not to exact shape yet. I'm still working on getting that mounted. The seat, I'm just using 3/4 inch MDF. Made the round cut marks with a skill saw set to obviously a pretty low depth. Used an angle grinder so that I can get clearance for the gas tank mount. Fiberglass the two together. I got about 4 layers of fiberglass on there right now, just holding the pieces together. I plan on covering the entire thing, top and bottom and sides, in fiberglass, just to kind of seal it away from any kind of moisture. The gas tank itself, he told me he picked it up at just a swap meet. He said it was from an older Honda. It wasn't in bad shape. I've sanded it down to bare metal and done some Bondo, trying to cover up the original emblem mounts. You can kind of see them better on this side. I think I still need a few layers to go. It's actually quite smooth between that transition though, so that might not show. Tried to fill everything I could. It's probably still going to show little dents that I couldn't see. I have the top piece for it. Yeah, that's right. I have all the rubber and the lock, the key to the lock. Just sanding everything down, getting it ready for paint. For the seat, I still have to make some seat mounts. Kind of unsure on how I want to do that. I don't really want to do bolts through the frame. I want to actually make some decent looking mounts for it. It did not have the side plastic cover on it when I had gotten the bike. I might try to make something out of fiberglass to conceal that. The battery that came with it's quite large and I do not like the way it looks. I might just opt to spend a little bit of money on a new battery, but this one did work well, so probably no need to replace it quite yet. If I do so, it'll probably be a lot smaller battery, and I'll try to hide it up under the rear seat cowl. Now the handlebars that came on it are quite wide. I might try to narrow them as much as I can. If I don't get the look I want, I might get some clip-ons. So the perk of the bike definitely was the fact that it was $250 and it ran and it had a title. The tires, both front and back, are brand new. They cannot have more than maybe the 10 miles that we put on them. The suspension seemed to be in decent working order. I didn't really notice any oil leaking from the forks, but I figure while I have it apart, might as well throw some fork seals in there. I'm at the point where I'm at now. I'm kind of just mocking everything up, making sure everything fits tight and nice and snug. Then I'll tear it back apart and start the painting process. Haven't really decided on which colors I want to go with. I do kind of want to do a bright frame, like, well, I was thinking maybe a neon orange, something like that. I do have the other shock. I mean, everything's just kind of tore off the bike at the moment. The mirrors I got are, they slide into the handlebars. I've gotten most of the new parts off of eBay. Some of it's pretty cheap stuff, but it looks nice. These were, I think, $15 with free shipping. They have integrated blinkers, brake light, running light. I would like to cut them out, probably above these lines even a little bit more, and try to recess them back as far as I can. I don't want this all poking out too far. I want it to kind of look like it was made for it. I guess a few of the other things I do have to do to the motor. The shifter shaft seal was leaking. It keeps leaving little puddles of oil on the floor. Nothing big, but I guess I don't see any now. Other than that, I still got a long ways to go. I guess the chain, I had to replace the chain. It was pretty rusted up. I didn't think I wanted to use that one. It did have some goodies, like I said, that came with the bike when I got it in the basket. You had like the center kickstand, the side sprocket cover for the engine. Not sure what this went to, but took it anyway since he was giving it to me. I might try to use my shift lever off of the KX80 I got, which turned out really did need a lot more work than I had anticipated. If you've watched my other video, the cylinder did need new nacelle plating, piston was shot, crank was shot, did come with the crank rebuild kit, but that didn't offset the cost enough for me to be able to continue on that bike for the time being. I've kind of thought about stealing the rethanol bars off of it and putting on this if cutting the original ones for this doesn't work, and well, if I don't purchase the clip-ons. There's a lot I have done to this bike that I am forgetting. I have removed the entire wire harness, which sadly was cut in quite a few places. It was kind of just bare minimums hooked up to it. The headlight worked, nothing else. I guess the rear brake light worked too, I guess, but just the brake. Didn't have any turn signals. Both front and back brakes seemed to work pretty well on the 10 miles we put on it before I tore it apart. The front master seal, I think, is leaking brake fluid because the paint on the lever is slowly dissolving off of it. Might just be the cap loose, might just be how I've, kind of just had it hanging out here the whole time. I should have removed that, I guess. The rotor's in great shape. I have not done a compression test on it, but like I said, it ran great. It shifted through all the gears. Stock top speed I think is supposed to be somewhere around 55 miles an hour, which is not fast, but this is definitely not going to win any drag races, but it's definitely going to be fun to ride. This does sit flat when everything's put together. With the exhaust that he had on it, the mower exhaust, it actually sounded kind of neat. Kind of curious to see what this is going to sound like now. The pipe, one thing that I did have to do, it took me quite some time. This is basically sleeved. This has got a smaller pipe running through it. It's actually the exhaust pipe. It was broken right up here where the flange is to bolt it to the motor, so I had to come back inside of this tube about this far and try to repair it with weld because the inner pipe had snapped right here, and it was just kind of blowing the exhaust out of whichever pipe had the least path of resistance. Sorry, it's pretty late here. Of course, when he cut it to put the other muffler on, that of course separated the inner pipe from the outer pipe. I had to fix this end as well. Put this little steel tube over it to actually just hold the muffler to the pipe. It did have the rear, this is a two-seater bike originally. It did have the rear foot bags. They were much nicer on the back, obviously, because they were not used as much as the front, so I took the ones off the back and I'm using them for the front. Just trying to, I'm going to try to make it look as nice as I can. Did not have the air box. He just kind of had, because the battery's not original, of course, he kind of just had this little homemade velocity stack looking piece of silicone he had here. Looks like something automotive, but it worked. Now I have seen on eBay, can't get that to focus, sorry, that a lot of the parts for this bike are Chinese, which can be scary, but so far everything on the bike looks original, and of course all says made in Japan, which helps. I found one way of telling, I saw it on a website somewhere online, that by the VIN number you can tell by which region it was made in, or country, I suppose. But they said as long as the first digit of the VIN was a J, which again I cannot get this to focus, it was. Everything on the motor said made in Japan, all the little markings on the castings of the engine and things like that, so not too concerned about that. But hey, if I have to replace a starter or anything of that nature, you're darn right I'm buying the Chinese one, because it's probably only going to be about 15 bucks. So, but so far I have not had to replace anything major, which is great. Well, I guess let me know what you think, and I will keep up with videos on the progress that I've made. And let me know what you think, and thanks for watching.